Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you? Assalamu alaikum.
वालेकुम अस्सलाम रहमतुल्लाहि व बरकातहू। जी अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह।
Okay. We have a new participant, Sarah. Can you hear us? If you can hear us, please reply either by voice or in the chat box.
Not connected to audio. He can't hear.
Okay, no problem. Let us proceed. So we are in the 5th class of Python. Today, I will give you overview of the last class. We have learned about type conversion in Python, and I'll introduce few of the programs in C++ and Python. Then we'll go to conditions, conditional statements, repetitions in C++ and Python. We'll do a quick example problems. After that, then I'll give you homework, inshallah. So, because Sarah, you are new to us, I wanted to tell you that we are dealing Python and C++ together in these classes, and you are free to learn any of the programming language in these two. You can also follow Python and C++ together. These are the online classroom links that we have created in online GDB website. In this website, you have to enroll to the classrooms that you want, either Python or C++ or both. Then there you can submit the assignments that I give for you. Whereas homeworks, I give short homeworks after every class. Those homeworks, I'll share it in the group, and you have to send me back the answers of the homework in the group or personally. So in the last class, we have seen Python type conversion. Okay. What we have seen that whenever we are trying to enter any input to Python, it's taking it as string because it's by default, it's by implicit behavior of Python to take any input as a string. So we need to convert our program. We need to convert the input as per our program demands. For example, if I want to take input of a float, I have to explicitly. Do you know the difference between implicit and explicit? Implicit, it means internally, within itself, by nature. Okay, explicit means externally. You have to force yourself. Okay, so this is the difference between implicit and explicit. When we write input and we ask something here like enter float number or enter something here, then implicitly it will take as a string. For forcefully trying the Python to take the input as some other, we'll write it there, float or int or something else. So this is called as type conversion. What we are doing, we are converting the type of input that we have to give to the console. So this is a very simple program. I have given you the example here that we are trying to take input in the float in the form of floats. We take two input and then we are printing the sum of these two. So I hope I don't have to write this program and show you the output. You can practice it yourself after the end of the class. Now we go further and try to write this program in C++ and Python. What's the program? This program requires the input from the user in Celsius. Do you know that we have different kinds of scales to measure the temperature? If you remember, we have learned about the scales of Celsius, Fahrenheit, Rankine, and Kelvin. Do you remember? Yes, right?
Yes.
So these are the short formulas that we use whenever we have the temperature values, and usually by default the temperature is measured in Celsius degree, and we rarely use all these. For like checking the fever, we use sometimes Fahrenheit, and these other things are used for different purposes. For example, we use Kelvin for boiling points to understand the boiling points of different materials or liquids, these kind of things. So now we'll try to write the program. Can someone tell me what is the input that we have to take from the user? Here, what's the input that we need to take from the user in this program?
Float.
Okay, I'm not asking about the type of the input, but the variable that I have to take here, the variable input that I have to take from the user.
Temperature.
Okay, temperature, right. But which value, which scale of temperature should I have to take from the user?
Celsius.
Very good. We have to take Celsius, and what will be our output? We need to print the output, these three. So our output will be, after the computation of these three values, we will give it to the user. So shall we write this program in C++ and Python now? So just right before the class, I have written this program so that it becomes easier for us and not waste our time for writing this code. Firstly, what we'll do is, as usual, we are including the IO stream, and then using the namespace, I am declaring the variables CFKR, as it is mandatory in C++ to declare variables before I use it. And then I am asking the user to enter the temperature in Celsius. I'm reading that. Now I do the computations using the same thing. The same thing that I have mentioned here. It's F equals 9/5 multiplied by C plus 32. So do you know the order of computation of different kinds of operators? Please remember this thing. I have to tell you. BODMAS. If you remember, anybody?
Yes.
You know about this
Yes.
BODMAS or PEDMAS?
Yeah, BODMAS.
Okay. What is this is bracket of
Bracket division, multiplication.
When we have different kinds of operators, what I mean by operators, it's plus, minus, and multiplication and division, and what we have is modulus and many other things. All these operators have a priority. For example, whenever we are serving something, we are serving, for example, it's summer season, and you have taken up the task of giving water, cold water, to the people who are passing through some street. Okay, so whenever you are doing such kind of task, you will be having huge number of people who are coming to take that from you, the water. We have old age people, kids, and youngsters. So when you're serving, you will have a priority, right? You will have the line of elders in separate way, and you will have the priority for children's and youngsters, right? First priority, to whom will you give? Whom will you give the first priority for serving this cold water in the summer season? Hello?
Old people.
Yes, you will go for the old people, right? So in the same way, here the operators have a priority. We need to understand, if we don't follow the priority rules, the calculation will be wrong. You will fail to calculate it properly. That's why you need to understand the priority of operators. So among all the operators, the first priority goes to the bracket. Remember this BODMAS or PEDMAS. This is P means parenthesis, B means brackets. So both are same. This DMAS and DMAS are same here. Just in terms of American and British, American, they use PEDMAS, and for British mathematics they use BODMAS. Okay, so first is the bracket of. It can be any kind of bracket. Any kind of bracket, I mean a bracket which is very simple like this, or a bracket which is of flower type, or a square type of bracket, any bracket. And then we go for division, and then we go for multiplication. Okay, I write X here, that will be more visual. Then we go for addition, that's plus, and then we go for subtraction, that's minus. So this is the order of calculating anything. So whenever you have so many things here in a line, so many operators, then you need to understand that this is the order of operation. First it goes to the division here, and then it goes to multiplication here. Sometimes you have so many things, to make your program very clear and out of confusion, you can use the brackets like this. Okay, and this will help you a lot. Here I can keep the bracket like this way, so it will be very easier. See, this will be calculated and then it will be multiplied with C. So it's only 2 to 3 lines of code, so I'm not using brackets much. We'll calculate it here and we'll print. We see the output in this form, where we know that in C++ for printing anything we use Cout, and the variable that we have computed, we are printing it on the console. Now I'll try to run the same program we have written. Yeah, so the program, just tell me some value that we take in Celsius. Do you want to be converted in Fahrenheit or something else? Okay, let's
30.
Okay, 30, very good. Now we'll see the conversions here. Yeah, this value has been converted in temperature in Fahrenheit, Kelvin and Rankine. You can also verify this. It's not required for verifying. Okay, I have someone, Qadira Begum. Okay, no problem. Yeah, so we will write the same program in C++, in Python, which is here. We'll give the input and we'll take the input in the form of float. It's the same as you have written your homework and assignment. Then we give these lines of code and then we'll print. It's so simple. Okay, shall I run the same program? And here also we'll give the same value to Celsius, that's 30. And yeah, we got same answer. Alhamdulillah. So we got the same answer here too. Now we'll proceed to other program. Yeah, this is same. Yeah. You know BMI? Do you know what is mean by BMI? Anybody know BMI?
Yes.
What's that?
It's ratio of our height and mass.
Yeah, mass
Our
and
body
height.
mass.
Yeah. So why people use BMI? You know? BMI.
To know whether they are obese or healthy condition.
Yes, exactly. To know that they are underweight or normal or overweight or obese. So there are different kinds of categories. Underweight, it means as per your height, is your weight appropriate or not? So it's it's very good for us also to understand if our BMI is correct or not. So what you have to do is take your weight and take your height and see if your BMI is correct or not. Okay, so usually, as far as I remember, the BMI should be less than 30, I guess. I'll verify it later and I'll tell you. So now we'll try to write a program which will calculate our BMI taking our weight in kgs and height in meters. Okay, so yeah, what is the input that we are going to take it from the user? Tell me, what are the input variables that we are going to take from the user? Either it's in C++ or Python.
Weight and height.
Very good. And what are the metrics? I mean, the metrics that we are going to use, it's kg and meters. So we'll write this program. As I told you before the class, I have written to not waste our time much on this. So what we are taking is initializing the mass, height, and BMI. Why are we initializing BMI? BMI is the output variable that we'll be using to calculate our BMI using this mass and height. Firstly, we'll ask the user to enter mass, and then we ask the user to enter height. Okay, and we calculate BMI using the same formula. Here I have shown you already. This is mass over height square. So what is meant by square? It's multiplied twice. Okay, we can also use it as by some mathematical functions like SQRT. We have SQRT, no, this power is one of the function in C and C++ that will help you to do the powering, I mean squaring or cubing, or even fourth power of some variable. You can do it. We'll write the variable here like this. HEIGHT, height, is our variable, and what is the power that we are going to give? Is 2. So this is the syntax of the function power. Function, it's already defined function power. I'll explain about this later in future, inshallah. Now do not get confused with this. Just we'll go by height multiplied by height, and the value that we are getting, we will print it on the console. Okay, just tell me somebody's weight and height. Who is going to tell? Let's see if you are underweight or overweight, if your BMI is appropriate. Okay, we'll give some random values. 40, no, we'll give 50. And height in meters, give me some height in meters. Anybody?
One
3
point
meters.
5.9.
That in inches, right? Okay, no problem. We'll give something like this. Okay, the BMI value is 2 kg per meter square. We have to give the value in meters, then that will be more appropriate to understand the BMI values. Okay, always remember, you may get some kind of tests or assignments for these kind of questions I'll be giving. So at that time, you have to understand that you have to give the height in meters. If I give the input in inches, you have to convert it into meters, and then you have to give. Okay, so this is the BMI value. Shall we write the same program in Python? Or it's okay, we can do it here. We can edit it here itself. I'll leave this page, and also, okay, we'll just customize the same Python program. Okay, no problem. We'll customize this same program. What we do in Python, first I change the language to Python here. Yes, and we don't have to initialize anything. We'll remove all this thing. Okay, and we take mass as a variable. And you know it, right? Shall I have to write it or shall we proceed? We just take input, mass and height.
Ma'am, sorry, I joined late little bit. So could you please let me know the overview of this program? Like what we are going to try?
Okay. Muhammad Wazir, what we are going to try is we are trying to calculate the BMI of a person. BMI is body mass index that identifies if your weight is appropriate as per your physical body, as per your height. So BMI is calculated using two metrics, mass and height, and this is the formula to calculate body mass index, where we'll place mass as the numerator and height square as the denominator. It's the ratio of mass over height square in kgs per meter square. So just now we have seen the example of this program in C++ where we initialize the mass, height, and BMI as the three variables in C++ because the initialization is must in C++. After initialization, we ask the user to enter mass and height. Then we use the BMI variable to calculate, to do the summation, to do the computation. Then we have printed that thing, right? And in the Python, what we are going to do, if I want to show this in the same, we're using the same program. Here, I just copy this program and we try to execute, enter weight. First, we'll take mass, okay? Mass, and I will say it as mass. First, input mass. Next, we will ask the user to input height, right? And this is height. Now we'll calculate the BMI using the formula here. We already have it, okay? Which is BMI equals mass over height multiplied over height. And we will print in Python. We are doing it in Python. So BMI value is, okay, what I have to do, I will write comma and then I will close this bracket. Are we doing right? Have we missed something?
Right. Is up to.
Okay. So now mass we have to give on the console. Let us give the same mass that we have given there. And what was the height that we gave? Something like this. And the BMI value is 2. Now here we got 2. Why we got 2.0 here? In the previous example, we got 2, if you remember.
Because we given print as a float value, yes. Both mass and height are float.
Very good. We have given mass and height as float, so the resultant value that we are storing from these two will also be the float. By default, it will be as a float. Okay. So if you want to give something like this here, kg per meter square, you can also write it in this double quotes after BMI printing. Okay. So we move forward and yeah. I just copy this program and keep it here so that you can practice it in your free time. Okay. I'll share the slides after the class. Now we'll go to a good concept, which is of making decisions. If you want to try something like this, is it greater than or smaller than? These kind of conditions, loop and repetitions, all these things are called as control statements. I'll give you a quick example using a flow chart. Okay, where's that? Yeah, here. So let us assume a flow chart. We are writing a flow chart for calculating the average of 3 subjects of a student. Okay, average of 3 subjects of a student. So firstly, we are starting our flow chart. Forget this I equals 1. Okay, forget this one. How a flow chart starts? Firstly, it will ask the user to input something. So we said that we are going to give 3 grades, 3 subject marks, and then we'll calculate the average of those 3. First grade or first subject marks and read that marks as A. Second subject marks and read that marks in B. And third subject marks, read that as C. In C++, we'll do this way. Enter and read, enter and read. But in Python, we just take only one line for these 2 things. Okay, good. And the computation will be same in C++ or Python. We do the computation as 2 steps, or you can do it in single step as average equals A plus B plus C over 3 in one line. Okay. After this average, we are trying to see if the person is passed or failed. If the average is greater than 60, then the person is passed. If not, the person is failed. Okay, good. We understood what we are going to do. And if someone remembers what is the circle here in the flowchart, we saw this in the first class. What's the circle here?
Top.
I'll give you a chocolate. Where says the answer of this circle?
Conditional operator.
This is the conditional. This is the condition. Here we are checking the condition. What we are doing is here. Try to understand it by seeing.
So terminate here. If the condition pass or fail, then both should to become over here.
Yes, both should come over here. It means it is connecting. This is a simple thing. It's just connecting 2 flows. 2 sequences are connected into one. We can also write it here and here too. Instead of writing the same statements 2 times, we are connecting this sequence, this flow into one. Okay, good. Up to here, it will be ended. Now I want you to write a flow chart which will calculate the average of 20 students and print if they have passed or failed. Did you get my point? What you have to do is take the subject marks and calculate average and then print pass or fail for 20 students. Then it means that you have to start from here, right? You have to start from here and end here. How many times? 20 times, right? So for that reason, what we do is we try to repeat the same kinds of code starting from here until here 20 times. So I asked someone, I don't know from where the voice is coming, to mute please unmute when you have something to ask or say. Other times, please keep it muted. Okay. So we have to repeat the lines of code from here until here. How many times? 20 times, right? Here we have seen one conditional. And here we'll write another conditional. What is this condition saying? This condition is saying that repeat the statements from top to bottom until here 20 times. I'll little minimize this one so that you see it's really what it is. Here I have initialized I equals 1. Start from 1 and repeat this until here, and then once you are done here, increment this for another time. I equals I plus 1. Firstly, the I is 1. The second time, what will be the value of I? I equals I plus 1. It's here. Okay. What will be the value?
I value is 2.
Very good. Now the value of I will be 2. After that, here I am checking. I is 2, right? Is I less than 20? Is 2 less than 20?
True.
Yes.
Yes.
So it's true. Then it will go up here and do the same process until this point of time. Next, the I equals I plus 1. I equals 2 plus 1. it's 3. So 3 is less than 20. It repeats again until I reaches 20. When I is 21, this statement becomes false. This is not true and the program ends. This way, we'll be calculating the average of 20 students and printing if they have passed or failed. Got my point? This is the way that we do the repetition task. This is the way that we do the repetition and the conditional. Every repetition will have a condition. Until how many times you have to repeat? There should be some condition, and here we have kept that condition. Okay, if you have any doubts, please ask me here in this flow chart. Okay, you understood everything, right? From top to bottom? Yes.
One basic doubt,
Yeah.
this for rhombus symbol, right? Like
Yeah.
it's like a processing.
Yes.
And this square symbol and rectangle symbol. So
Yeah. These symbols, you know, every time when we are starting and ending a flow chart, we'll use these kind of symbols. For a computation or initialization, we will use rectangle. Computation, I means A plus B or something like this. For taking input, C in, C out, and in Python, for example, it's input. Then with those kind of things, we use, I can say a parallelogram here, these kind of boxes. For computation C, we have used a rectangle. And for conditions, we use a rhombus. And also for printing, C in or C out, it's same. For connector, it is here. And this is condition, and for N, it is like this. Okay. So our we'll join again. Okay, our meeting is ending. We'll join again and I'll explain you the problems on this. Okay. So you have understood the algorithm, sorry, the flow chart, and now we'll go to the control statements. So the control statements, we want to control our program. How should it run? Where should it go? What should happen? So for the controlling of a program, we have different kinds of things. What we do by conditioning or by looping or by transferring. The definitions are by their name. Condition, it means we'll give a condition. If this is greater than this, then do this. This is a kind of condition. Looping, just now we have seen the looping. It's repetition. Repeat for 10 number of times. We have seen the example, right? These two we have already seen, and even the transfer we have seen. When the condition is so and so, transfer it from bottom to up again. So we have control statements. Sometimes we have these together. Sometimes we have these together. Sometimes we have 3 of them together. So in the last flowchart example, we have seen these 3. How we have seen these 3? If you remember, where is this one? Okay. How we have seen conditional here? We have seen this condition. And transfer is from here to here, transferring the control of the program from here to here. And this is also repeating for how many times? 20 times. So all of these 3 things are there in one single program, right? So you know, conditional statements usually evaluates runs using the Boolean values. What are the Boolean values we have? 1 or 0, true or false. So we'll see some examples. The Boolean values and the conditional statements run on these operators. Okay, all the conditional statements run on these operators. What operators? Less than, greater than, equals, and not equals. Okay, what are the 4 operators that the conditional operators run? the conditional statements run. These are the 4 operators. So let us see this equals equals. What is meant by equals equals? It will evaluate if really A is equal to B. For example, if I write A equals B, what does this mean? Please tell me. If A equals B, what does that mean? Only
A and B
single.
value should,
Okay, A and B values should to be same. Then only the condition it will print as true, else false.
The answer you have said is for this one, A double equals B. The question that I am asking is for A equals B. Only single equal.
Okay.
So what happens if there is single equals? What does that mean if there is single equals?
it's a kind of assignment.
Exactly. That's assignment. Who's the one? Answer?
Arif.
Good, mashallah. So this is assignment. When I write A equals B, it means A will be taking the value of B. Okay? A will be taking the value that is there in B. For example, I have given B equals 3. In the next line, I say A equals B. Now I want to print the value of A. What will that print?
3 will print.
Very good. So A will be taking the value of B. When I write A equals B, it will check if really A value and B value is same. Good. Alhamdulillah. This is exactly opposite of this one. Do not see all this is true, is not true, is true, is not true. This is written by taking these two values here. A holds 10 and B holds 20. These are the values. As per these values, the output is written here. Okay. Firstly, we will try to understand what is the functioning of this thing, and then we'll go take these example values and see the output. Okay. Alhamdulillah. So this is exactly opposite of A double equals to B. A is not equals B. This means if A is not equal to B, then that will be printing true. Okay. This is exactly similar to this one. Greater than and smaller than. It means A not equals B. A greater than B, this is very simple. If this is greater, then that will be true. If this is smaller, then that will be true. Is greater than or equals to. Okay. This is less than or equal to. Now let's see. I give the value A as 10 and give the value B as 20. 10 equals 20? No. False. 10 is not equals 20. Okay. Yes, this condition is false, and that's why the future statements will be executed and this statement becomes true. Got my point? How this is true? Because A is not equal to B, that's why it's true. Okay. Yes, is it confusing?
No, I got it, because 10 is not equal to 20. That's what it's true.
Yes, exactly. In this case also, it's true. 10 is not equal to 20, so it's not true.
No,
Yeah.
what is the third line? Okay, similar to not equal to.
Yeah.
It's greater than, less than. Okay.
Yes. Here it's A greater than B. It's not true. It's less than. Yes. This is also not true. This is true. Okay. We'll go to the next operators. These are the logical operators. The logical operators are little bit similar to the operators that we have seen here, but a bit different way of writing, and we have different use for this. When you are doing the programs, then you will understand. We have already these many things. Why do we need this? But really we need it. Where I'll show you with examples, inshallah. This is logical and. And how we write it? A and B. What happens if A and B is true, then only the statements will be executed. What we will write A here is, for example, in A can have different operators. A can hold, for example, 10 is greater than 20. B can hold 20 is greater than 30. So these two are false. So this will not be executed. This AND will take two different kinds of conditions. Here will be one condition and here will be another condition. If these two conditions are correct, then only that will be given as true. Got? So these are multiple conditions. This condition has to be true and this condition has to be true. Okay, I'll just give you an example here with here. Okay. Okay, I'll write something. Why it's not taking? Okay. First, I write 10 is less than 20, and 20 is less than 30. So the AND operation we use in this way. Okay, when will be the AND operation? It's combination of two or more conditions. So the first condition, what is this? 10 is greater than 20 is A. Okay, 10 is less than 20 is A, 20 is less than 30 is B. A and B. If A is true and B is true, then only the full operation will be considered as true. Got it? Or is like this. If any one of the operation is true, then the whole operation will be considered as true. This is false, this is true, but this will be considered as true because only any one is true, then that will be true. Okay. Where is not operation is not A and B. How it is done is, whatever the operation is being done, that will be reversed. Okay. If you remember the truth tables, do you know what are meant by truth tables? 1 and 0. What will be the answer? Anybody remember? 1 and 0? It's 0.
0.
1 and 1?
1.
Very good. 1, 0 and 1?
0.
Very good. You know it already, then why you are very silent? I thought you do not know this. These are the logical operators. We use truth tables. 1 or 1. What's the answer?
1.
1 or 0?
1.
0 or 1?
1.
Very good. 0 or 0?
0.
Very good. Okay. Now I am writing not 0. Not 0?
1.
Very good. Not 0 is 1. We represent it like this or some other symbols we use for not 0. Okay. So these are the values. We check the two conditions if they are true or false. Now you got it. Alhamdulillah. So we'll show you the syntax, how we write if conditions. First we use if, and then we use some expression. X is greater than 0 or X is less than 0, this kind of expression, and then we'll write the statements. Here we give the condition. I am showing it in the form of a flow chart here. If it's true, then some condition, some statements have to be executed, and if it's false, it has to end, or we will have some other kind of statements that have to be executed. This is just single if statement, if and else. Okay, this is if and else. This is a syntax of C++. In Python, we use elif, E-L-I-F for else. Okay, for else we use E-L-I-F. For if, it's same. If it's same in C++ or Python. Okay. Okay, got the syntax? Now we'll write a program, a simple example of this thing.
Is it semicolon is must here after the F and else?
Didn't get what you're saying?
No, in if condition and in else condition, I can see some colon. Is it a mandatory? Yeah, is it mandatory?
You have to use the colon. Even if you don't use, that's not a problem. But as far I have seen, everywhere they use the colon. You have to use the colon. Okay. In C++, you don't require the colons. You can use flower braces. Even if you don't use, that's not a problem. So let us see this simple example here. Okay. What I am doing, I am taking variable 1 as a variable with some value, and if variable 1, okay, and then I'll try to run this program, try to understand what's happening here. If variable 1, it printed some value, whatever we have given, it means this if condition has been taken as true. It has been taken as true. After considering this as true, it's going forward and printing. Now what I'll do, I'll write 0 here. What happened? Nothing happened.
You mean that if any variable is true, then it's going to be respective print statement, it will be print, means it will be enter into the if statement. Exactly. Otherwise, if condition is false, then they not at all enter into the if block.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
If it is a negative value?
Check this. Okay. So here, the negative or positive, what we are trying to take is, here it's showing that you have got some expression, you have got some value. You know, the negative or positive, it will be converted into binary format. It will be taken as some 0 1s and 1 zeros. If it's only 0, it means that the value is false. I am trying you to take in the terms of Boolean, in the terms of binary format. If it's only 0, yeah, if it's only 0, it means that this is here, we are not taking the expression. We are giving the value of the expression.
Okay, if it is a float or if it is a string, how it is?
Okay, even if it is a string, even if it is a string, it will be taken as that string. It will be taken as true. What I'm trying you to understand is, here this Boolean value is being taken. If this is 0, it means if this condition is false, then it will not go forward. Okay, if the condition is false, it will stop here. It will not go forward. If the condition is true, it means the condition is 1, then only it will go forward. If you give any value here, even if it is string, float, or any integer value, then that will be taken as some true value. It means it has some value in this. And
if
then
it is an empty value?
Sorry?
If it is an empty?
No, it will tell you this the syntax error because you have given equal to and you are not giving anything. That will be a syntax error.
Okay. One more doubt.
Yeah.
Actually, now the condition is we have some condition in line number 2, and it will execute line number 3 and 4. Okay. Okay. I have another statement which is common, that is not comes under if condition. Okay, it's a common statement. Even if the condition is true or false, my print statement should be executed. Okay, how can I do that? Is it need to the
Okay, it should not check. Other than this one, you can write elif. If this condition does not go, or you write the braces here.
Okay.
You write the braces. Sorry, you write the elif. Then if this condition is not true, then it will go and print that whatever you want. The last will be the elif. The last will be elif. You can just print it if even if any condition is not true, then that will be printed. Okay, we'll do a simple example, then you will understand more here. Yeah. It's the same here. I am giving if the variable is 100, it means it has some true value. It got some value. That's why it's printing. And this else statement will not be executed. I'll show it again here. Okay. So this has got the true expression. Now, if I give 0 here, see what's being printed. Got a false expression value. I'll give it as B, and it. So I'll remove this, and I'll remove this. You will understand it better. Okay, it says that firstly we are giving variable equal to 0, then it means it is 0. The condition is false here, so it will not go here and it will print here. It will take this. Okay, we'll do a program, then we'll understand it here. So here is a simple example. What we are doing is taking input from the user, a variable from the user, some value in that variable, and then we print if the variable is a even number or an odd number. Okay, so we'll write this thing, you will understand. Okay, so our number is n, some number, and we'll give the input. Let me copy it. Why to write it again? Okay, I'll copy it here. What I am doing is taking the input from the user and trying if this number is divisible by 2, then that will be an even number, right? What's an even or an odd? You know, right? 1 is an odd number, 2 is an even number, 3 is an odd number, 4 is an even number, you know. So let me give some number 9. 9 is an odd number. Got it? See here, what we are trying to see, if 2 modulus 2, I have to tell you about the modulus. Some of the students who attended my first class, they know how the modulus works, but then too I'll explain it again. What's meant by the modulus? Okay, here. You know, 4 divided by 2. What will be the value of 4 divided by 2? You know, division, right?
We'll get.
Do you know what is meant by quotient and remainder? We have some, firstly, we write like this. 2. In our schools, we used to write like this, right? Here, whatever we get is a quotient. Whatever we get here is a quotient. here, this value is a quotient, and the remaining value that we get, the remaining value here down, the down value, for example, if it is 0, this is called as a remainder. Okay, this is quotient and this is remainder. So when I write 4/2, that will give me 4/2, that will give me the value of quotient, this value. When I write 4 modulo 2, it will give me the remainder value, this value. Okay? Okay?
Yes.
Ah, very good, mashallah. So now I'll give you another example. I'll remove this and test if you really understand what is meant by a quotient and a remainder. Okay. Now tell me, 58/2. What's the value?
What is 29?
29.
58/2 and 58 modulo 2.
0.
Very good, 0. So how is this number? Is this odd or even?
Even.
You know, every even number, whenever it is divided by 2, then it will give 0 as the remainder. This is by default. Every number that is divided by 2, and if it is an even number, then that will give 0 as the remainder. Any number divisible by 2, it is even. How can we find out if a number is divisible by some number? It's divisible only if the remainder is 0. Okay, I will give another example. 27/3. What's the modulo value here?
0.
0.
0. Very good. It means 27 is divisible by 3. 27 is divisible by 3. Or in a passive way, 3 is a divisor of 27. 3 is dividing 27. Good. Now, tell me, divisor of 54? Is 3 a divisor of 54?
Yes.
How?
Remainder is 0.
Very good. When you divide 54 by 3, it will give you the remainder 0, and that's why 54 is divisible by 3, or 3 is a divisor of 54. Now I ask, is 24 divided by 2?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Yes. So 24 is an even number. The same way we check it for finding even numbers, odd numbers, for finding prime numbers, and many other numbers, we use division and modulus. This is so important. You need to understand this concept. Most of the times, all the programs use these two operators. It's very interesting if you understand. Now we see here, this n, if divided by 2, if the remainder is 0, then that is an even number. Okay, shall we write the same program in C++, or you will write it by yourself? Students, you can write it in C++ too, right? First we'll initialize n, and then the checking is same. If condition, I can give you some code. You can practice this during your free time. Okay, you can do it, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. So if you want to have multiple if conditions, just now I think Arif or Waziruddin, they have asked me this thing. If we want to have multiple conditions, we can also do that. If first condition, then do some statement. If not, do some other statement. If not, do some other statement. For example, here we'll see. Okay, we'll customize the same program. If n is, I will not write like this. I'll write greater than 2. Okay, we'll write something like this. Okay, and I will try to customize this code. If n is greater than 2, then I will write n is greater than 2. Else, something else. Okay, customize more. Is positive. Okay. Okay. Let me just answer my question. I want to check if a number is positive or negative. How can I check? I want to take a number from user and see if the number is positive or negative. How can we?
Greater than or equal to 0.
Greater than or equals to 0.
1.
Greater than or equals to 1. Okay, like this. Or just you can write greater than 0. If it is greater than 0, then
Equal
that
to
is
0.
positive. If not, that is negative. Okay, in this way, we can check if the entered number is positive or negative. Got it? Entered number is -1, and that's why this number is negative. We are taking the condition n is greater than 0. If it is greater than 0, then that is positive. If not, that is negative. So I will give you some more examples in the next classes and some more homeworks so that you practice on these if conditions and we get familiar with this type of coding in C++ and Python, and we'll come up with more programs in the next class. Okay, it's time is up, so I have to leave. Okay, you understood the if condition, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, Qadira Begum, I have seen you for the first time in the class and I have not seen you submitting any of the homeworks or assignment. Can you please introduce yourself? I just want to know about you. Qadira Begum, are you hearing us? Okay, no problem. Sarah, can you hear us?
Yes,
Can you please introduce what's your name and where are you from, what you're studying?
I'm Eltina Sara. I'm from Trichy. I'm doing my second year in BSc Information Technology.
You are from?
Trichy.
I didn't get that.
Trichy. Valley Road side, Trichy.
Yeah, okay, Trichy. Is Tina Sarah? Tina Sarah? Okay. Good to know about you, inshallah. We'll have the homework and assignment too. Today I'll give you the homework in the group and you have to submit. Okay?
Sure, inshallah. Okay, inshallah.
May Allah help us to understand and implement more Python and C++. Jazakumullahu khairan kasira. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.